Does Badgers basketball have to make a run this year? Is this the year the Badgers receiver room is finally a strength? We got buy, hold, sell, a bunch of questions plus live comments. Today's Locked On Badgers. Let's go.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers, your team every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We got Rajiv. I am Ryan, your host on this beautiful, beautiful Wednesday night, wherever you're at. Thank you for jumping on. Today's episode, we have got, I need to update my media, my topics over there, but we're doing buy, hold, sell, a bunch of different topics, basketball, football, plus some of your listener questions as well. Today's episode brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at Monarch Money for 50% off your first year. So this is how this show works. I got a bunch of topics, and I'm going to multitask here as I update my media. Rajiv, we're taking buy, hold, sell on these topics. It's football, basketball, and I want to start with one. And in the comments in the show, guys, let us know in the community what you think. We'll put your comments up as well. Again, these are always about get the community involved. Let's get your thoughts as well. I've been thinking about this a lot, Rajiv. And I don't know if I want to think about it, but I think there's a very good chance Blackwell and Winter are gone next year. I think this could be both of their last years. And I don't think you get a Boyd every year in the portal. Rhodey's a veteran. You got some real veteran talented pieces here. Is this the year buy, hold, sell Badgers basketball has to make a run?
That's a great question. I'm going to sell that. And I'll tell you why. The one thing, and this is just call me, this is a very believe moment for me. Gard's done pretty dang well in the portal, man. We got John Tonje out of nowhere and he became one of the best players in the conference. And we didn't really think it was going to be that. It's like, we weren't expecting that. And I kind of have confidence that he kind of finds a way. I know that that's probably not going to be people's opinions, but I just feel like, look, yes, it's going to get harder if Blackwell and Winter leave. No doubt about that. But who knows what happens with maybe Kinzinger is better than we thought. Maybe Garlock's better than we thought. We just don't know. But I do have confidence that when you get Storr and Tonje in back-to-back years, two fantastic players for the Badgers, Gard can kind of reload. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but I do have confidence he can do it. So I'm going to sell that.
Okay. A couple people in the comments, Badger Boardmouse says sell, agree with Rajiv. Will Hanna says nope, yep. He thinks he's going to buy this. Both are gone after this year. Tyler Schieber says no way with Winter. He's still not strong enough. Blackwell for sure. I'm gonna buy this actually, and maybe I'm buying it because I came up it's something that's been in my head, and I'm buying this not in terms of they're never going to make another run. It's not like if they don't do it this year, Gard's gone and it's over. But I think for the next couple of years, I think it's going to be hard to get back to this point in the roster. There's just not going to be a lot of years, I think, where you have a junior on the roster like Blackwell that's been with the program for 3 years. He's grown with the program. You have a Nolan Winter who I'm telling you right now, if he puts strength on, I think he could make the jump. I think he could be gone. I hear you, Tyler. He's got to get stronger. I agree, but I think he could be gone. And you also have two other veterans. What wins in basketball? Veterans. It's Boyd as a veteran. Rhodey's a veteran. I think you probably need to make a Sweet 16-ish type run this year because I don't think you're going to be as good next year because I don't think you're replacing those two.
I can definitely hear that argument. I feel like I can see why you'd go the other way. Ultimately, I think it's just confidence that he'll find a way to reload. The Tyler Schuber's comment on Winter, I do think that he has to take a leap. He has to take the leap, but I expect that leap to happen. And if he does, you combine the physical tools, his ability to score, his ability to find offense around the basket, he is probably going to make that jump. But we'll see. If he stays still a senior year, great, no problem.
You start this next one. Buy, hold, sell. We will feel more positive about Mike Tressel at the end of this season.
Boy, I've never wanted to buy anything more. I think I'm going to hold here because I want to believe that we're going to feel better about this. I think that we're going to feel better about it because of the personnel on the line, first and foremost, and the development of young people and the transfers in. I don't think we're going to feel better about the scheme overall. I hope we do, but I just don't really feel like we are. So I think because you kind of combine better on the personnel, not so good on the scheme, I'm going to hold it. But boy, I would love to see us actually buy this.
Well, let me be that guy for you. I'm buying this. Let's buy this.
Love
Again, some of this is where are we at right now, and what would it take for us to feel again more positive about Tressel? We're not at a high spot with Tressel right now, right? We were just last in the country in TFLs, literal dead last, the worst in the country, worse than Ball State, worse than Minnesota, worse than every school you can name. Tulane, I don't care, Wake Forest. I think he has people on this roster now that make more sense. The front seven's better. He didn't just forget to coach. I think it's a buy because the watermark is so low right now, right? It has to get better. And if it gets better, I think we're going to feel better. So I'm buying. I get the hesitation. I get the pessimism, but I think quite frankly, he just didn't have the chess pieces last year. He's got chess pieces now. I'm going to buy this.
Yeah. I mean, chess pieces, we'll see how good those pieces are, right? Like it's hard to say that we really have chess pieces because do we really know? I don't know. I mean, we think Perkins is a chess piece. We think Suggs, like there's people out there that we're feeling pretty good about, but we could have another year where we don't see a lot of pressure on the quarterback. And would you really be that surprised if we don't see a ton of pressure on the quarterback this year? If Peterson and Cheeks are out there now, if Nick Clayton's getting minutes, then I feel like, yeah, probably, but like it wouldn't be that shocking to me if we didn't see pressure on the quarterback again.
Yeah, if we see any though, isn't that a buy? Like,
but I mean, here's my. I'll go back on that. I'll say this: like, I hear you on that. Will the defense be better than last year? Yes, but does that mean we're going to feel good about Tressel going forward? I don't know. I think like there's a line there. Like, yeah, sure, everything's going to be better than it was last year. Any improvement's going to be better. But I need to see like 3 years into Tressel's reign. I need to see some actual growth on the defense and belief that we can be dominant. I'm not saying we have to be dominant this year, but can we be dominant? I don't think Tressel can really make us dominant. I think that's, I guess we'll see at the end of the year, but I think we'll feel better, but not like, okay, go Tressel. Like, you know what I mean? I think we'll feel good about Grimes.
Okay. No, I love it, man. And I love these conversations, man. Disagreements are great. That's how we get smarter. That's how we figure it out. And this community is kind of built on that, being able to respectfully disagree. All right, buy, hold, sell. Blackwell will average 20 this year.
Hey, this is a buy all day. This is just, come on, man. Blackwell's going to feast this year, man. No, yeah, I think Blackwell, I could see him averaging. I mean, look, 20 is a lot. Like, you know, I mean, what did Tanjay average last year? Was he 19 or?
I thought it was like 18 point something.
I want to say it was 19, but I could be wrong. But yeah, I think he will because, and the number one reason is because he's not playing point guard. He's going to be playing, Boyd's going to take that point. The pressure's off him. He can play the two. He can find his spots. He can become a shooter, true scoring guard. Let's go. 21, 22 points a game. Definitely could happen.
Yeah, Blackwell, Tanjay was 19.6 last year. Listen, it's a buy. Tanjay was 19.6 last year. Blackwell was at 15.8. I think I wrote it down, but 15, 16 points per game. We're talking 4 more points a game in a spot that I think is going to fit him better. He's going to get more opportunities to score, to just go be a bucket. He's also going to be a year. Let's face it, he's going to be a year bigger, stronger, better, faster. He's just coming off that NBA feedback. Dude, yeah, I'm buying this. I mean, 20, as you said, is a lot, but it's not that much more than he got last year. It's 2 more buckets a game. I'm buying it.
Okay, let me ask you this just for a follow-up and put your comments in the chat. If you think he's 20, 21, which I agree with, who's 2 and how much?
It's Winter, and it's like 14.7.
14.7. Okay.
15-ish. Winter's got to be around 15. He has to be, because he has to be that second horse to Tanjay, because it's not Boyd. Boyd is not going to be a 15 to 20 point scorer, in my opinion. He's the facilitator. I think it's got to be Winter, and he's got to be, for this team to be good, he has to be around 15.
I agree that it's going to be Winter, but I wouldn't undersell Rapp. I think Rapp could end up finding his way into, like, you know, he can shoot, and I feel like he can find his way into open shots. He's not going to have a ton of pressure on him, at least early in the year. I could see him being up there, but I agree with you. Winter will be number 2. 14.7 is a little high, though. I would probably go 12, 13, 12 and a half, maybe.
So if he's 12 or 13, let's just game this out. Let's say, and man, we could go down an entire rabbit hole with this, by the way.
Sorry,
Evan,
I had to.
No, this is great. This is awesome. Evan says Winter 16. Hooger says Winter 13. 14.
I like that number. I think Hooger's number is better. Yeah.
Philip says around 15, give or take 2 points either way, which also puts it kind of in that realm you're looking at. Here's the thing, though. If he's at 13, 14-ish, where are you getting the other 60 points? Because if Blackwell's getting 20, you're getting 34 between the two of them, maybe. You need another 50, 60 points. That feels like a lot to ask of a guy like Rapp, who
You're right, because you're right about this because of how many points we're going to score a game, because of the style of offense we have, and because we're going to play much more fast. Yeah, you're right. It's got to be higher, and it should be higher. And sometimes I forget, like we don't play old Wisconsin offense anymore. So we're going to score 80 many games, and where is that coming from? That's a fair point. But yeah, probably 15. I think that's probably right. Then you could convince me.
I do love Phil here coming with Kins is going to get 60 off the bench. I think Kins is going to play. I love that. All right, we do got to take a quick break. We're going to come back. A bunch more buy, hold, sells. There's no way we're getting through all these, but we're going to try. That's coming up next on Locked On Badgers. But first, a quick second for our friends of the show. Always great friends of the show over at Monarch Money. Monarch Money is incredible. They are here to help you get all your finances in order. They're kind of like a personal CFO. So if you're ever logging in and you're just trying to figure out, I've said this before, we should manage our money like we are employees for ourselves. Do a little bit better job of knowing where all of our dollars go, what our goals are, what our projections are, what our forecasts are, where we're looking 5-10 years down the road. Let's build collaborative plans with our significant others for those of us that are lucky enough to have that in our lives. You can do all that on Monarch Money. Brings every single account you have. My Monarch Money account has my mortgage stuff, my car payments, my credit card stuff, my investment accounts, my checking accounts. It's all in one spot. So I log into one spot. I see how I'm doing. It's incredible. It's something that my wife and I use, and I cannot endorse it enough. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Use code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. All right, Rajiv, let's hit into this next one. What's up next on this one? Do you have it up, or should I grab it here? I got it.
There you go.
Buy, hold, sell. Nolan Winter will be the highest draft pick on this roster.
Boy, oh boy. I'm gonna sell this because I think that it's Blackwell. I could see a world where Winter's the highest draft pick just because of need of the teams in the NBA. Obviously, his size is unique. His ability to put the ball on the floor, his ability to shoot. Boy, it wouldn't surprise me one bit. I'm going to end up selling this because I still think it's Blackwell, but I could be so wrong about this. And you know what? I would be very happy to be wrong about it because I love my Nolan Winter.
Yeah, and I would start this by saying I love both these guys. I love Blackwell. I love Winter. I think Winter, I'm buying. I think Winter is the guy. Schuyler says sell. Will Hannah says buy. Hooger says sell. Phillips says buy. He's a 7-foot athletic stretch big. That's it.
Very true. I mean, his profile fits the NBA and the NBA's need very well. He's a 7. Yeah, he can shoot. He's 7 feet tall. That's a solid skill set.
Yep. And by the way, nerds have a spot in sports now, and his metrics are off the charts. Like he is incredibly efficient. He can shoot from all spots. He's tough. He can move. He's going to be a little bit stronger. And I'm telling you, you can't find mobile 6'11" guys who can shoot the ball. He's going to be able to play in transition. I think he's going to be the higher pick. I'm buying this. You take this one to start off with. Buy, hold, sell. One of the Badgers basketball portal players will not live up to expectations.
I mean, I feel like you have to buy this just because it seems like that's kind of been a trend. One will outperform expectations and one will not. And I think that Boyd probably will exceed expectations. And I'm guessing maybe Rapp won't. I don't, it's hard to say. But I'm buying it because it's just statistically speaking, this should happen. And I can't see a situation where we're just going to hit on all of them because that just doesn't happen in this world. And it'd be great if we did. We could probably make an Elite 8 and Final 4 run if we did, but that's just not likely.
Yeah. Sadly, I agree with you. I think you said that really well. Let me ask you this, another rabbit hole. If the likely happens and you don't hit on all of them, let's say you hit on Boyd and Rhodey, and you don't hit on, for whatever reason, Rapp. I'm not picking on Rapp. I'm just throwing a name out there. Could be any of them. Then what? Because this is not a deep team. Those are your starters. So,
I mean, there's still a spot. We still have to fill it. There's still going to be someone else that comes onto this team. I think you can never underestimate the power of the freshmen. Like, I know a lot of people were expecting Janicki to take a step. I'm a little bit hesitant on that myself. I want him to take a step, but I'm hesitant. But if he does, then that helps out. Obviously, the freshman, maybe one of the freshmen can play. So I think we'll be okay. But yeah, I mean, someone else needs to step up if that's not going to be the case. And I'm not really sure who that's going to be.
Yeah, I think that's the scary part for me is I almost feel like you have to hit on all those guys to some degree. Now, you don't have, here's the thing. Here's what I'd say. I caveat it. They don't have to be home runs. Like maybe you just can't strike out on any of them, in my opinion. And we'll see if that happens or not. A bunch of people in the chat, everybody's buy on this one. Will Hanna, again, on the Greppy train, 19.8 per game for Greppy. He thinks that he's going to be a big part of this team this year. Listen, that'd be amazing.
Dude, this is not going to happen.
I'm going to hit one of the ones you sent over. Buy, hold, sell. The Axe will return to Madison and stay for at least 3 years.
What's your take? You go first on this one.
Oh, gosh. You all know how I'm not going to go on my Minnesota rant again because we got a lot to get into today. So you know how I feel about that program, though. I feel like I have to hold. I'm just not sure, man. Because realistically, if you take a step outside our bubble, our program and Minnesota's programs have, like, Minnesota's program has been trending in a different direction than ours a little bit. And I want to say buy more than anything. I'm going to say hold. I don't think it's a given that we've fallen below them by any stretch, but I feel like I have to hold this, man. I don't know if I can buy this.
I'm buying all day, and I'll tell you, to me, it comes down to this season, because the next two, I think once our young guys develop and grow into this team, guys, we're even talking about the 2025 class and certainly the 24 class, we're going to be far better than Minnesota because our classes have been better to them, especially the last couple of years. But it all comes down to this year specifically to start this trend. And I think Billy Edwards is going to give us something that we just haven't had for a couple of years. And I mean, I think that when we look back at Braden Locke, and I hate to say this because he's a young man who worked his butt off for us, I think sometimes we're not even able to vocalize how bad it really was with him back there. Like, we were a really badly run offense, and Billy Edwards is going to instantly change that. I think he's the reason that we get this win this year, and we can't take it down because the running game, because Grimes, because the culture around the program. Like, I don't think that these coaches, these players are going to allow this to happen. We're not losing to Minnesota. And if you then extrapolate that, go forward the next couple of years, when we've got our young recruits that we're really excited about, Minnesota's not going to touch us.
Hell yeah. Buy. I'm buying too then. Let's go. Nothing would make me happier, right? Nothing would make me happier. A couple of people in the chat here. Evan says we're beating them this year, 28-17. Evan's my guy. Matt says sell. Hurts to say it. That's a lot of consecutive wins in a rivalry game, which is true. And
we've had several. We at one point we had like 12, right? I mean, like, so we can if one side of this rivalry, and Matt, I think it's a very fair point, but if one side of this rivalry is going to go on a streak of wins, it's not going to be them. It's going to be us. And that's what I would say to that.
Yeah, I think it's fair. Hoogs says hold. In a 4-year stretch, if you can get 3 out of 4 years, I have a feeling we lose it this year, though, but we win the next 3. That'd be a bummer, man.
That'd be bad.
That'd be so bad. All right, next one up here. Buy, hold, sell. Let's see here. Buy, hold, sell, Rajiv. We talked about this the other day, but I want to get your take. Buy, hold, sell. 3 true freshman football players play significant minutes this season, but not special teams.
I mean, so off the top of my head, I think 2 definitely will, and I think Clayton and Hilton will be the 2 that definitely get minutes. I think the question is whether or not you see a guy like Posa out there, who I think will, because we also are kind of stacked at that position right now with Allegro and Curtis. I don't know. I'm going to probably hold on this. I feel like could be right on the line there. I think it's probably, honestly, I think it's probably just 2. If I'm being totally honest, I feel like 2 are going to get the minutes. So I'm going to officially sell.
Okay. I bought this one on our previous show just because I think one of the DBs are going to find a way, whether it's Scott, whether it's Washington. I think, I don't know about Nazir. And if that's the case, I think Skanes, could play. I think one of the freshmen might have to play. So I'm going to buy it because of that. I don't think it'll be Posa, though, because we're too stacked at inside linebacker. Yeah. All right. Buy, hold, sell. This is actually something somebody sent me. Badgers basketball has a better shot at making the Sweet 16 in the next 3 years than Badgers football has at making the playoffs.
Okay, Badgers basketball is a better shot at making. Well, okay, I think this Sweet 16 is far easier than making the playoffs, so it's kind of a difficult one. But my natural thing is to say sell, because I think the 2026 football season is the year that we have to make a run at the playoff. Getting into the playoff is not. I mean, I guess that's true. It's not that much harder. It's wide open in the sense that at least 3 Big Ten teams are getting in, probably 4, and the schedule in 26 is so much easier than 25. And I really have a lot of belief in what's happening still. So I'm going to sell this. I think that making it to the Sweet 16 3 years in a row is very, very difficult to do.
Oh, just at some point in the next 3 years, I think is the question.
Oh, ooh,
Not
boy.
because I was gonna say, to me, I feel like this is a slam dunk buy. I would. This is maybe the easiest buy of my buy hold sells.
Okay, so looking at it like that, just once in the next 3 years, I feel like okay, I would agree with you. I would buy that. But listen, I do really believe that in 26, 27, it's going to happen for Luke Fickell.
Wow,
not saying we're going to win the title, but getting into the playoffs is not. Look, Indiana got into the damn playoff. Like we can get into the playoff.
That's a spicy take, but I love it. We're gonna take one more quick sec. We got if you have any buy hold sells, Rajiv, I think there might be a couple in the chat already that people put in there. Put them in there. We'll star them. We got to take one more quick second. We're coming back with some more buy hold sells on a live Locked On Badgers Wednesday edition. But first, a quick second for our friends of the show. Also, a quick second to say thank you for tuning in. Man, there is a bunch of stuff you could be doing with your time. For you to spend a little bit here with us, man, it means an absolute lot. Rajiv, let me hit you with this one. Buy, hold, sell. The Badgers offense actually takes a step back this year without Crowell and Tanjay.
Yeah, I think this was when I saw this one, I think this is a really good one to discuss. I think that at the end of the day, it probably is a buy because Crowell was way better than people want to give him credit for. Certainly, Ryan, you and I have very much been firmly in the camp that Crowell was a really strong player. Tanjay was elite. Tanjay was incredible. And Blackwell's going to take that step. Winter's going to take that step. Rhodey, Rapp. We've got players, but I think at the very end of the day, I don't think we average the points that we did last year this upcoming year. I still think we're going to be good. I think we'll be a little better defensively, but offensively, that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot of points. And you're talking about very efficient and frankly effective scorers in Tanjay and Crowell.
Yeah, it's a buy for me. I don't know if people realize, and this is maybe me because I do a daily podcast. I could probably help put this number out here more. The Badgers were so elite offensively last year from an efficiency standpoint. And a lot of that, whether people want to admit it or not, was throwing the ball into Crowell and letting him make decisions. It was Tanjay just being a flamethrower. You just only got those guys this year. Now, I think there's a lot of other pieces. It might be more balanced. In some ways, it might be a little more difficult to defend at points, but I don't think we're replacing Crowell and Tanjay. I just don't think we're doing that. We had Blackwell last year. You had other pieces last year as well.
You're right, because we did say that that Blackwell would average more points than Tanjay did, but that doesn't mean that Blackwell's 15 are going to be as easily replaced. And then, Crowell obviously was averaging at least 12 or something like that. So yeah, we're going to have to see some real production from Rhodey and Rapp if we're going to, and Janicki's going to have to take a step and be able to be a relied upon backup points and scorer. So if those things happen, we could, but it seems quite unlikely.
I agree. And on most of the chats there, my Lord Lester, buy, Badger Bournemouth, buy, Phillip, buy. People don't realize how much of an engine Crowell was. A hold from Evan, but most people on here were a buy on that. Let's do it.
So let's conversely do the other side of this and say we will look like a better defensive basketball team this year. We will be. Do you feel like buy, sell, or hold? We're actually going to be better defensively.
I'm going to buy this. I think this, and I think this is where it has to happen, because if you're going to take a step back defensively or offensively, which I think you and I both think they will, I think you have to be better defensively. I think they are. I'm worried about post defense a little bit, but I think you add a Rhodey on the perimeter. You have Boyd. You have more size through your 1 through 4. You're just bigger, longer, more athletic. I think you're more versatile. I think you can switch a lot more. I think Boyd gives you more of a point of attack defender that you just didn't have last year. And I like Carrington off the bench. I think Carrington also gives you switchability. I think 1 through 4, almost 1 through 5, they're going to be incredibly switchable, which is going to give teams problems. And there's also not a ton of teams we play that are just going to throw it into the post and feast. There's not as many of those guys anymore in college basketball. I say better. I don't think it's an elite defensive team, but I do say better. I am buying this.
Yeah, I'm buying it, but not quite as hard as you are, I think, just because I am very worried that teams are going to just throw it into the post, because it's going to be a weakness for us unless Winter is a lot better than he was. And maybe Rapp can be that. Because again, I think people really undersell the positional defensive ability of Steven Crowell. It was pretty good. Mm-hmm. I know he wasn't a rim protector. I know that people are going to go off about it, but the dude was in good positions defensively a lot more than he wasn't. And frankly, I hate to say it because he's my guy. Nolan Winter got eaten alive in the post much of last season. If that's our starting five, I do get very concerned about that. So I'm still buying this because you're right. Boyd is going to be that X factor. He's going to be the reason we're a better defensive team, and that will permeate down into the rest of the team. But I am very, very concerned about teams just saying, you know what? You're right. You've got better perimeter defense, but you can't stop us when we throw it into the block.
Yeah, I do think, to your point, and it's a good point, there are teams that are going to exploit it, right? You're going to play certain teams that are going to exploit it. I just don't know how many teams want to play offense that way. There's a lot that don't. There's a lot that basketball isn't really played that way anymore. You play Purdue, Michigan State, but even a lot of Big Ten teams get up and down more now. And I will say this, one last point on that. He's going to be bigger. Winter put on 10, 15 pounds last off season. He's going to put on another 10 pounds this off season. He's going to be bigger, stronger, more experienced. I think he'll be okay there. So I think we'll be okay there. And I don't know if a lot of teams are built to exploit that, but it is a very good point.
While you're looking up the next one, Thomas Miller, OMG boys, it's been a minute. Good to see you both. Thomas Miller, good friend of the show. He's always on these shows. I haven't seen him in a while either. So good to see you, Thomas.
Dude, how are you doing, Thomas? Drop a note if you're comfortable. Glad to see you. Like, honestly, like, we get to know some people out in these things, and it's just great to see familiar faces. Thomas is a good dude. I like this one, man, because let me tell you, I bought hard on CJ Williams, and I liked Bryson Green. And I remember a podcast I did year one of the Fickle era, and I'm like, could this be the deepest receiver room we've had? And listen, that's not Ryan's best take ever. Buy, hold, sell. This is the year receivers are finally a strength.
Yeah, I think we should buy this. Yeah, I mean, look, Vinny Anthony has proven himself. Obviously, Jaden Ballard looks like he's going to be the guy. I think it's still a bit of a wait and see situation because I certainly am a big believer in what Tretch is going to do this year. Not everyone feels that way. And I think when you add a guy like Crowdis who can just super crazy big playability, then we obviously have Hilton. So yeah, I think it is going to be a strength. And here's the real reason it's a strength. We have a quarterback that can get them the ball, which is a really critical part of being a good wide receiver. So yes, absolutely.
He says the year of Kekahuna is upon us. I would love that. Evan Malone says buy. I think you got to hold, though. I think you got to hold because listen, fool me once, fool me twice. It's the reason I hold. Sometimes I think about how would I make this point to a team that legitimately has receiver as a strength. Like imagine I'm at a bar next to an Ohio State guy or an Oregon fan. I'm like, no, I think this is a strength this year because we have Jaden Ballard. He'd be like, oh, the guy that didn't play for us. Yeah, him. He's really fast. Yeah, he couldn't get on the field for us. And we got Deco Crowdis, the guy from Hawaii. Yeah, we like him too. And Eugene Hilton Jr., but he's never played, right? No, but he's pedigree. And Tretch Kekahuna. And you honestly think it'd be like, who's that? I'm like, I don't know, but he was really, we really liked him 2 years ago. He didn't play last year.
You're making me want to sell it now.
No, but listen, all I'm saying is.
No, listen, it's a really fair point. I interviewed a Alabama fan today for next week's Alabama Know Your Foe series. And of course, like they legitimately have the greatest wide receiver room in the country. And he was like running through them all. He's like, wow. I'm like, okay, well, we got Vinny Anthony. Cool. But you're right. That's a very fair point. But relative to the last few years, if you're looking at it like if you look at the last 3 years of wide receiver and you look at this year, like if you don't compare it to Ohio State's and Alabama's, if you look at compared to us, I think there is really cause to say, yeah, we're going to be a lot better.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of similar to our Tressel conversation we had earlier, right? Maybe it's not a strength. Like when I say strength, I'm like, that's a really good Big Ten room. I'm not sure if it's that. But is it better than what we had last year? Yeah, I think absolutely. Maybe that's similar to our Tressel conversation. And I think Phil kind of hits it. Not a strength, but not a weakness. So hold at this point. I think that's where I'm at. I think I got to hold because there's just so many people we want to like, but we don't really know because they haven't done it yet. Buy, hold, sell. We're not going to be able to get to all these, but we're going to hit a couple more. Buy, hold, sell. This year's portal class is Greg Gard's best ever.
I think you should take this one first. I'm curious.
Man, the funny thing is, when I thought of this one, my first thought was, well, this is obviously a sell. Like Tanjay's going to get drafted. He was an incredible player, and then I'm like, yeah, but the rest of that portal class was Xavier Amos and Cameron Hunter. I don't know, man. So I feel like I got to hold. I feel like I have to hold on this one. I think there's more depth in this class. I feel better about Boyd and Rhodey being contributors. But but I don't know if there's a star in this class either. Now, not that we thought Tanjay was. I feel good about the depth in this class. I think he did a great job in the portal this year. I think Gard did a great job. But I don't know if it's going to equate to getting something better than what Tanjay gave you, even though he was more singular. I'm going to hold, but I say that thinking ultimately this is going to be a buy for me.
So, yeah, I think it kind of has to be a hold for now. But like I will say, like we didn't think Store was going to be a star. We didn't think Tanjay was going to be star. We kind of know what we're getting in Boyd more than we knew with any of the other ones before, right? We don't know what we're really getting with Rhodey and Rap, fair. But I think like what you know you're getting in Boyd is an exact need that this team was calling out for. We've been calling out for a point guard. So he got that. And that's why, and I think Rhodey and Rap are going to be really good additions. And Rhodey's a good shooter. Like I think everyone can shoot. So I do actually think this is a buy, but it means that Boyd's got to do what we think he's going to do. And then one of the other guys really has to be a hit.
Yeah, Thomas Miller says better depth with this year's portal additions. Several other people said sell, like my Lord Lester, sell 1 star is worth a lot. Hold. Will Hannah says overall this portal class will be better. That's a tough one. I like that one.
It would be interesting to think about what you thought of this portal class compared to what you thought when we signed the last one. Like we all can look back and see what Tanjay was. Like he's incredible. But if you try to think back to where we were before last season, as far as the portal guys, like, yeah, we were all pretty high on Xavier Amos. Like we all were. We thought he was going to be great. So I think it's kind of a like almost flat to me. Like I felt pretty good about those guys. I also feel pretty good about this one. The one difference is Boyd. I feel like we're literally getting a surefire great player in Boyd.
Yeah, that's a home run addition from Gard. I want to hit this one just to make sure we get this in because we did have Badger Borwell submit one. Buy, hold, sell. Badgers hoops 4th place or better in the Big Ten. So I already kind of talked about this on a different show. I'm selling this because I think they're more like a 5th to 7th place type team. Listen, the Big Ten got better. Iowa upgraded at coaching. Minnesota upgraded at coaching. The Big Ten is going to be really good again. I think this team has a few holes depth-wise in the front court. Now, this roster is not done, as Rajiv has pointed out, but I'm selling this still. I think it's a good team. I think it's a tournament team. I think it's a competitive team, but I think they're more like 5th to 7th in the Big Ten this year.
Yeah, which, 4th, when you were talking about an 18-team league, like 4th is ridiculously good. I agree with you. I'm going to sell it, but, look, I mean, I really want to buy that. I want to say that because I do think we're going to be pretty good, but we've just talked about the loss of Tanjay. We talked about kind of like what it really looks like. How are we going to get to 80 points? I mean, are we going to be a better offensive team? All those things considered. And the fact that this is an 18-team league. If we're still looking at the old Big Ten, sure, but there's a lot of teams in this conference.
Yeah, we almost have to adjust that a little bit, right? We almost have to start talking like top 5 because the barometer for great our Bo Ryan was always finished in the top 4. Mm-hmm. Well, some of those years he finished 4th, which is still awesome. But in an 18-team league, maybe that's not that. Maybe we need to start saying top 5. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that was 4th out of 11 when he was been there when it was still 11 teams, right? Yeah. So I mean, like, yeah. I mean, look, if you finish top 6 at this point, you're gonna basically be a top 6 seed most likely. I mean, I think that's kind of roughly that, which is still very good.
Last one here to finish on, and we didn't get to every single one, but we almost nailed all of them. Buy, hold, sell. Wisconsin will beat at least one of Bama, Ohio State, Michigan, or Oregon this season.
We've talked about this a little bit before. I'm buying this because of Michigan. I was afraid that you weren't going to put Michigan on this list because then I would have had to sell. But since you put Michigan on this list, I'm going to buy it because I really do think we're going to get that done this year. And listen, we could get smoked by them, and I'm just a horrible take. But I've got to find a way to believe that we can get to the win total that I hope we do, which is 7, 8. And if we're going to get there, we're going to need to get that Michigan game.
Skylar says sell. Will says buy. P says we'll get an upset, so he's buying. Thomas says buy. Matthew says buy. Michigan is toast. Matthew says. Evan Gabriel says clean sweep. He doesn't say which way that sweep is going though. That could go a couple different ways. Hoog says buy. My brain is saying 2. Matt, optimism rules. He's buying. Man, a bunch of comments here, which I appreciate, by the way. Philip, who is a great friend of the show too, says magic in the air when Ohio State comes to town. I got to be honest, man. I don't like being this guy. Like, I lean positive. You know this. I once had a flight that almost crashed. We almost died going into Atlanta, and we got diverted to another place, and people were screaming. Like, we almost stalled. The stall warning went off twice. Like, we almost crashed and died. And we're getting diverted. And I leaned over to the guy next to me. He's like, white knuckle. I'm like, man, I hope they add some frequent flyer miles onto our thing because we're getting diverted. And he just looked at me. He's like, dude, shut the fuck up. I can't even swear. My point is, like, that was the first thought in my head. I'm like, I could get something out of this. Let's go. So I lean optimist, man. I don't know why we think we were going to go into Michigan and beat them. You know, they've got a better roster. That's a team that I know they had some issues last year. I know they lost people. And I don't know if they fully replaced them, but they brought in a better recruiting class than we did, a better transfer class than we did. Dude, we lost 2 late round picks. I don't know if we replaced them. I don't know if we replaced Hunter Wohler and Jack Nelson. And we're talking about how did Michigan replace their guys? I don't know if we replaced ours, and ours weren't as good. So
yeah, you're right. I mean, you're right. When you look at it on paper, it makes a lot of sense. I think at the end of the day, like, Badger fans are starving for a signature win, which Lou Fickell still has not had. And that one of those is going to be a signature win. Iowa is a good win. We need to have that this year, but it's not a signature win. Like, you need to get one of these guys. Like, you also think that last year's team with Braden Locke came this close to beating Oregon. So
yeah,
it just seems like one of these days, fourth quarter, game's close, you know, Hallman has a pick 6 and we win a game. Like, it's gonna happen, man. Like, you're right. Like, it's probably, you look at it, maybe it shouldn't, but statistically at some point we're going to get one of these big wins. And I personally think Michigan's going to be it, but someone said Ohio State. Yeah, listen, that's at home. We almost beat Oregon. We almost beat Penn State without a stupid, idiotic interception. Like, you never know. So it's there.
No, I love it. I absolutely love it. Evan says we're beating Michigan 28-24. Badger Bormel says justly mad at you, Ryan. Yeah, he's definitely more down on Michigan than I am. That's a very fair way to put that. We're going to wrap it there. Again, we went a little long today, but we had a bunch of good content, a bunch of good people in the chat as always. Will Hanna says, my feeling is the defensive line is going to be surprisingly good this year. P says Michigan doesn't have the signals anymore. This is true. This is true.
It's all going to come down to Underwood for them. It's all going to come down to Underwood. Like, if he can be a guy, then they could have a great season. But I think in reality, he's going to look a little more like Raiola did at Nebraska. He's going to have some moments where he looks great, but he's going to have a lot of moments where he looks like a true freshman.
I agree with that. But here's what I would say, and again, we could go down a rabbit hole on this. For a lot of what we've said, Rajiv, and you and I have talked about it, we're going to be better at quarterback this year just because of how bad we were last year. Mm-hmm. You know, Edwards doesn't have to be great to be better than Locke. Michigan was as bad at quarterback as we were last year. So for them to be better there, Underwood just has to be, they just have to get decent play, and they're way better at quarterback, just like we are. I mean, they're saying the same thing.
Better defense, yeah.
Yeah, so they're kind of saying the same thing as we are, as well, we're going to be better because we were so bad last year. So even if Underwood is just an average guy, that's an improvement for them.
True. Very true.
All right, we are going to wrap it there, guys. Again, we could just keep going all night long with comments, but we aren't, because we have to do other things too.
I'm going to Alaska tomorrow.
He's going to Alaska. I didn't want to say it because I never know if you want that out there or not, but Rajiv is going to Alaska, and I am going nowhere. So, you know, it's just another spot in life where Rajiv and I's lives diverge dramatically, is the enjoyment and fun and things that we do. Rajiv, as always, man, I appreciate you jumping on. For everybody in the chat, thank you so much, as always. On Wisconsin, and we will definitely talk to you later.